I think we're live.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Yeah, I would hope so. Well, good evening. There we go. Okay. All right. Good evening, everyone. I'm Ebony Whitson,
I'm Alan Whitson.
and we want to welcome you to Blended Love Family Conversations. We started Blended Love based on our own family structure as a blended family. When we met, I had three. My husband had two, and then we had one more. And throughout our relationship and our family struggles, we noticed that there weren't enough resources or assistance for blended families to succeed. And so we wanted to be able to help families find that success because the family is the foundation of the home of the structure for the kids and everybody. And so we started our nonprofit, and here we are today. So today we have our special guest on, and I see that they have made it. And so we're going to get to them in just a second. Did you want to say greetings, honey?
Hello, everyone. Happy to be here.
All right. So we have Ray and Cheryl Gleason joining us tonight. I'm excited to hear their stories, how they became a family, and get to know them a little bit more. Oh, okay. Uh-oh. I think they're having a little bit of technical difficulty. Give me just 1 second. We'll give them just 1 second. But we want to just get their stories. Our purpose is just to really show you different family structures, how they came together. Hopefully, you will find some similarities in their stories, in the lessons that they've learned during their journey, and you can have some key takeaways from that you can apply to even your own family. And also, it's really motivational to see that you're not the only one going through what you're going through or experiencing what you're going through in a blended family. There are so many who are. So as soon as they are able to reconnect, we're going to go ahead and get started with them and have them join in and just introduce themselves and give us a little bit of story, a little bit of their backstory. Cheryl, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Can you hear me?
We can, but we can't see you.
I know. I'm trying to get this to work. I am so sorry.
No, that's okay.
I had to go to 3 different browsers to get this to work. So I'm trying to change. It wants to go to my iPhone.
Okay.
There you are.
Hello.
Hi. Ray is here as well. So
Hello,
sorry
Ray.
about that. Ray is a tech. So we were trying to get a wider computer screen working, and it just didn't work. So we're so sorry.
That's okay. That's all right. We're happy to have you guys. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We were just giving a soft introduction on YouTube, but if you want to go ahead and introduce yourselves and just start with your story on how you got together and, how your family came to be.
Sure. Do you want me to go?
Sure.
Okay. I usually do. I'm just being polite tonight. So we actually started working together in about 10 years ago. We were both going through divorces at the time. And so we were just friends. He was actually my work buddy. So they assigned Ray as kind of a lead to help me get acclimated to the organization and take me out to lunch and just get to know the culture. So he was essentially my culture buddy. So we were just friends for a long time. We worked together, and I think over time we developed a friendship. And just that led to, a deeper friendship. And we decided to start dating once we were both divorced, which was a couple years later. And then it just went from there. And here we are, 6 kids later, and in New Lenox, Illinois, sharing a house and a life. So I don't know. Do you want to add anything to that?
No, that's pretty good.
That's how it happened.
Yeah, that's pretty much how it happened. It was kind of uneventful for a while. I mean, we did lean on each other as we were kind of going through some of the other marital problems that we had, which it was nice to have someone, I guess, who's going through a similar situation. Because that, that's really hard to go through. And it's hard on the kids too.
Now you mentioned 6 kids, so tell us about the family.
Sure. So we are a blended family. Ray brought Ryan, who's 18. Aiden is 16. Avery is 13. My kids are Cole. Cole is also 18. Cole is special needs. So Cole has Fragile X syndrome. Me and his dad adopted him from Guatemala and brought him to the United States. And so Cole is 18, Callie is 12, and then Finn is our child together, and Finn is 5.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And I love how their story is like ours, like flip. We have 4 girls, 2 boys, but our youngest girl is ours together, but she's 12. So,
oh, okay.
So one thing we like to do to talk about outside of even family structure and just coming together, what are some of the things or some of the challenges that you experienced, especially with, both of you being divorced and then bringing your children together? What are some of the challenges that you experienced with joining your family? I'm going to give this one over to Ray, though, because I don't want him to hide.
Well, I think there's initial, you're increasing the size of the family, pretty significantly, right? So there's, kind of we tried everything within our power to make sure that there was, balance there, that, like if you go out and look on the housing market, you don't really find a lot of houses listed that have 8 rooms. So things as simple as that, right? Logistics, the children from my first marriage are in a different school district, so we're in the morning everybody is off in 20 different directions, right? So and the gaps and age also kind of lend to that. So there was like a point where between the 5 kids for a long time, right? So 5 kids, 5 different schools.
Oh my goodness.
There were literally 5 different schools. So that kind of coming into like letting everything just kind of flow. I guess we kind of lucked out because the girls were youngest, and they really took to each other. Instant, kind of playmates, and that was logistics were a big one. Every meal is a meal for 8.
Question for you, Ray, with the logistics, since you're going over that, because I always feel like that's big just for people to understand that, because at first you probably were only planning for 3, and now you're planning for 6 on the financial side. Talk a little bit more like what that looks like as far as broaden people's horizons when they add in multiple families or a multiple financial structure to a family.
Well, you're looking at so from a I don't want to tell you guys what our grocery bill is every week.
We probably have a similar bill.
Very similar, yeah.
But yeah, you get creative and kind of how you work around for meals, and you have to be essentially very efficient in your day to day, right? So your time, you don't have time for inefficiencies. You don't have time, your communication, your game plan, just logistics needs to be extremely efficient. So, we obviously developed the system in terms of here's what we did the night before, get everybody ready, the baths, the showers, so homework. Usually, we plan ahead in meals. Whenever we can, we'll, do like leverage like slow cook meal, like a crock pot or something that we can kind of throw in the oven. Fridays, maybe we'll order pizza, right? But for the most part, we cook every night. It's also, we kind of lucked out in that, aside from Cole, most of the kids like are not crazy picky eaters. It's not like, so I've both of our like in my case, my ex-wife remarried, and they are also a blended family with
wow.
Yeah, on the other side. And so they get quite the experience between the two houses in terms of just like little stuff of like oh, dad makes his spaghetti like this, mom makes his spaghetti like that. Classic,
mom's is better.
The unsolicited
right.
food critic reviews, if you will, which is always funny, right? So
yeah.
How is the co-parenting aspect, if you don't mind me asking, between the fact that both of you came out of a previous situation and combined a different situation together? What is the co-parenting like for both of you when it comes to the other particular past spouse or a person that was in your situation?
That's an interesting question. I think we've tried different things. We've tried different things over the years. When we first came together, I think I went all in to be the uber stepmom, but I don't think that was wanted. And I think there were other influences at play there, which I have no control over. And I can only be the best person I can and be the best person I can to like raise kids. And so I really gave them what they needed from me. And that was more of a confidant friendship role is what they wanted from me, as opposed to a parental role. I still parented the kids, right? I took care of them, made sure they ate, looked after them, but I also kept my distance to maybe more than I think I wanted to, but that's what the kids wanted. And I would feel pushback when I pushed any further. So I think we co-parent, we do parallel co-parenting, if you will. I don't know if there's a real terminology for that. I need to read a book on this stuff.
Well, describe it. Because I like that's different for me too. Like I've never heard of that.
So I think we're very supportive of each other. So I'm very supportive of how Ray parents his children. So when there is an issue, so say Ray's daughter has a problem, I will talk to her, but if she may not want my support, right? She may only want the support from her dad. And that's just what we were up against in this relationship with, I think, again, outside influences on the kids. I don't think they saw me as stepmom for a really long time. And so I just became whatever they needed or whatever I felt that they needed, because we didn't always have those open conversations, right?
Yeah.
So for Avery, who is now 13, I was a little more hands-on momish to her, where the boys were a little standoffish to me for a long time. And I would say I'm still developing that relationship with them. It's been touch and go. We've all gotten along. We've had a great, I think we've been together now for 9 or 10 years, and I don't think there's ever been a family fight here. But so things have been, they've been peaceful, but I still feel like there's influences that I can't control to allow me to be the step parent that I think I always wanted to be. But yeah, and I don't know, it's an interesting road. It's hard. There's no real guidebook or playbook for it per se that works for everybody, in my opinion. I've read some books and some of those don't work for me. I think some people call it nacho parenting, but I think that's an insensitive. I'm not, I think that's an insensitive approach, and I wouldn't say that we fall in that category. And Ray takes the same. I mean, he parents my kids, so a little bit more than I parent his, but I just feel like I'm overstepping boundaries. So it's still a work in progress, to be honest with you.
I think, like, even with ours, our oldest are 23, and it's always an ongoing process because they change as kids, and then they go into different stages of their life, and then you have to adapt not only to that, but then also to which parents they gravitate to and who they want to talk to at that point in their life. And sometimes it is still, even with us, more dad than bonus mom, you know what I mean?
Right.
And that's fine. I want to be that. I want to be all those things, but I can't. That's like uncharted territory for me, unless that decision is made that they want to let me in to know kind of what's going on. So how do you feel, like, for me, when I'm not allowed in a certain part of their life, or I'm not allowed to participate as a parent? How do you deal with that? Because I know it just makes me feel some kind of way sometimes, especially after us being together almost 15 years, and it's still like we're still dealing with this. How do you adapt to that?
I just take it day by day, honestly, because I feel like towards the beginning of the relationship, and even towards the middle, like 4 or 5 years ago of the relationship, I took it very personally. And I always felt like I wasn't doing good enough. There's something wrong with me. I'm not good enough stepmom. I'm not a good enough mom in some cases. And I have learned over time that the kids, they have a mom, and they feel very strongly about her. And at times, I think there was some resentment towards me. So I have come to accept it, although it's still a work in progress. I can tell you I'm still developing relationships with my stepsons to this day, right? I feel like they're leaning on me a little bit more than they have in the past and asking me for things. But to answer your question, to be left out of things, I got used to it. But it was frustrating. I mean, I never really take it out on Ray, because I feel like Ray, it consistently involves me. He tells me what's going on, what's the problem, what's happening, what's even, personal conversations between him and his ex-wife. He always brings me into those conversations and fills me in. But it's hard. It's hard. And I always do feel like I didn't know exactly what my place was.
Did you guys have any of those conversations ahead of time? Like, when you were kind of dating and said, okay, I think this is headed in that direction. Because I know that some of the things we try to advise couples, and even our own kids, we tell them, as you're dating, it's more possible that you're going to date somebody that has a child, but that may not, and so there are certain questions and things that you need to ask ahead of time, just to prepare. But did that happen with you guys, as far as you, like, here we are bringing two families together, here's some things we need to discuss, or did you kind of have those conversations later on down the road?
We had them early. I think when we started dating, we had we dated for a while before we introduced the kids. Okay. It was a while. And so we would have, when you're divorced, you have full weekends. So we were just happy, not happy, but aligned is the word I'm looking for. We're happy too. But yeah, a Freudian slip there. But yeah, I mean, we were our time was aligned. So we did spend a lot of time, like, saying, like, this is how it's going to be. This is how we're going to agree that we raise the kids. I think we had a lot of conversations, didn't we?
Yeah, I mean, it's helpful that, you know, we have a lot of alignment in terms of like our parenting philosophy and our core values. You know, because I obviously it would, you know, I could see where that could be, you know, big challenge, extremely quick if you have polarizing, you know, different philosophy on parenting styles, or you know, and I guess I was going to go into like each kid is onto themselves their own person, right? You know, like my oldest is, you know, if this would have never happened, I would have had identical parenting challenges with him. So from, you know, 12 months on, he was the kid that you couldn't tell anything to. So he knew the right path. He knew the best way to do it. And he would not listen. So it was kind of the, you know, like, I wouldn't do that. You may want to do this. And then you just kind of watch the results. You know, so, you know, thankfully for him, you know, he's got some extreme smarts, and that paid off, right? So he's heading off to college next year, and got into a really good school, into a program that's kind of hard to get into. You know, amazing. But you know, my second son, he's a little more chill, laid back. He's more receptive of advice. Cares more about kind of what I think of him, in terms of like, oh, if I do this, I don't want to disappoint dad, or you know what I mean. He's a little bit more, he's a little more formative on approval, and you know, our daughter is, you know, kind of a mix between the two. But yeah, you have all, you know, at the end of the day, you have to always kind of remember they're their own person, and they have their own personalities that, you know, every single one of them is like extremely unique.
So, question for you: how was the interaction between the children once you all decided to bring them together?
Yeah.
Pretty smooth. I mean, like the girls were closest in age. My boys are extremely close in age, and they were never, which is odd. Like when they were really little, they were playmates, and you kind of had that built-in kind of buddy system. But as they grew older, they both went their separate ways. They were both very independent. The girls leaned in on each other. And then as they grew older, they grew more independent.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it was easy for the kids to come together. So I think everyone had to get, well, Ray's kids had to become adjusted to Cole. So Cole has, you know, pretty moderate to severe special needs. And he just he's different to be around. He eats different. He communicates differently. So I think that was an adjustment. But I think the awesome thing is Ray's kids. Well, Ryan, the oldest that he spoke of, Ryan was like in the buddy program and helping other special needs kids when he was younger. So I think it was a great experience for them to, you know, be around and live with Cole. And again, the girls, they were best friends. So that was a very easy, seamless. Now, what we're saying now is they are no longer best friends. They're they barely speak to each other. So that's a whole other issue, is there is a little bit of a divide in the house now. So we're still going through, you know, things 8-10 years later that I thought would be way behind us. So it's always a new challenge.
I think that's the personality shining through too, like you were saying, Ray. Each child has their own, like set of who they are. And that does come, I think it shows even more in a blended family, because then they're fighting to be seen for like who they are, and they need this and they're not getting that. And when they're divided between two households, it's even more of a, hey, yeah, do you notice me? Hey, do you see me? And it's like, well, now you're paying attention to that one. You're paying attention to that one. And it's always who's your favorite? Like, you're all my favorite, like I don't have a favorite, so, but it's just that immediate competition within each other. And then sometimes it's like, even I'll get pulled into it, and I'm like, you didn't like me yesterday. Now you want me to, to take your side. So it's like, where are we going with this? So I think that just like their changes just add to that separation. I would totally want all my kids to be together in one room and us do something, but that's not always possible all the time. And we're still working on things to be able to make that happen. I think that's our goal one day, is to have one big family dinner with all of our children at the same time. But we see them periodically as we can, but it's like, I want all of them together,
right.
And it peaceful, at the same time.
Right.
Are there any other challenges that you experience that you kind of want to talk about?
I don't know. Honestly, outside of, I think, some of the relationship dynamics, it's been pretty smooth. It's always a journey. Every day is a new day, and there's always a surprise, something that pops up, and you'd be like, I never thought this would be an issue. But for the most part, I think things are going well, and we don't have a lot of big problems, if you will.
Well, that's good. I mean, that's good. Then that brings us to, what are some of your biggest triumphs that you've experienced? Something like, man, I didn't think we were gonna, get that to happen, but
I think when the divorces happened, that I don't want to say it wasn't amicable, but it was. But I think the kids were a little resentful of me. So I think there's been little triumphs along the way of being able to build a relationship and having close conversations and feeling like they're confiding in me as a parental figure or as a respected figure, which I didn't always feel that I had that respect, and maybe not even, felt unwanted in some ways at times.
Yeah.
So I would say they've been little triumphs. And I've also learned, like, I have to put in, and not that I haven't, but it's important for me to put in the work too. So I have to put in the work and the effort all of the time to remember, even when I feel unwanted or maybe resented in some way, shape, or form, to put in the work, have the conversations, ask them how they're doing, what can I do for them, how are they feeling, and try to be a friend on top of everything, I think has been something I've learned. I don't know. Do you have any triumphs?
Normalcy is a triumph, right? So
normalcy.
I mean, it really is, right? So you could have this kind of like high tension, not argue, you could have like arguments and fights, and there's a lot of trials and tribulations with adolescence, and just the normal things that you would encounter irregardless if it was a blended family or not, right? Some kids are just, I think of some kids from my childhood, or they had the best homes, the best parents that like you could really ask for, and they'd still go out and burn the barn down, right? So
that's a myth buster right there, for real.
Yeah. So I think the fact that it's been a fairly, like there's our efforts in conflict resolution are far and few between. So
how do you resolve conflict though when it does come up? Like, what are some of the ways that you do tackle it, that you have found successful to just kind of, put the fire out on some of those issues?
just always being equitable. We're very, so if the boys get something, the girls get something, the girls get something, the boys get something, we make sure that everybody has their own space, their own privacy, their own zone, if you will.
Okay.
And we don't really. I mean, so for a long time, there was, I would say when the girls were kind of sharing the room for a couple of years, they loved it, they hated it, they wanted their own rooms, right? So there was also the dynamic of them, no longer being the babies.
Yeah.
When our youngest came along, which I've already been through that, like before, right? So my middle child had a really hard time when my daughter was born. Like he didn't even look at her for a year, right? Didn't acknowledge her, just kind of the, so the girls respectively having 7 and 8 years to be the babies, getting displaced. I think that was kind of a triumph of sorts to kind of get through that patch. Also just, I guess, from the, having a baby at our age, we're Gen Xers. So, I don't run into too many people that I was like, hey, I'm 50 and I've got a 5-year-old. I also have an 8-year-old. So, but yeah, that, I think, it's like everybody's respectful. Everybody gets along. Everybody, if they have a little kind of like a little bit, like siblings are always going to have like some bickering, right? But there's nothing that's been, like, it's like little stuff of, oh, she ate the last donut, or she got Robux and I didn't.
Oh gosh, those Robux.
Yeah, like kind of trivial stuff. Everything's kind of trivial.
Do you all bring together the families for family trips, and what does that look like for you? Because I know a lot of people think that when you have, so my wife and I, when we take family trips, we do plan 1 or 2 trips a year for our family and then a trip for ourselves. But a lot of people think because you have such a large family that it's going to make life a little bit more difficult, which there's a lot more planning. I don't want to say it's challenging, but it's a lot more planning. But I wanted to see what it looks like from your standpoint. Do you take trips as a whole, as an entire family? Do you split it off? And what does that look like? I think people need to understand that it's all workable, but it's all how you plan it.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about how you plan it. So a couple. And I think the Finn, our 5-year-old, he was, we love him, but he was a surprise baby. And we didn't expect to add a baby during COVID to our family. And I think that, I don't want to say threw a wrench in a lot of the plans that we had to travel and do some of the things that we wanted to do. It did. I'm so glad we have him. Can't imagine life without him, but it made traveling and things like that really hard over the past 5 years. Okay. So prior to Finn being born, I think we took a couple trips. I can think about a trip to Wisconsin Dells, and it wasn't bad. I think we had a fantastic time. It's just, obviously it's more planning and it costs more. Right. It costs a lot more to take 8 people or 7 people at the time on a trip, and renting a house and going to theme parks and feeding and going out to eat multiple times in a day is substantially more expensive than, a smaller family. So yeah, we haven't as much. I still want to take everyone to Disney this year or the year after. Or as soon as we're able to. I think the boys will have to have them come home from college for that. But I wouldn't say we've taken a ton, but that has mostly been due to the baby.
Okay.
Yeah. The baby logistics of having the baby. And I think COVID kind of frightened me personally. And it took me a while to come out of, to get back to normalcy, honestly, a couple years.
Yeah, that's understandable. And it's so funny because you said you come up to the Dales. We like to drive over to Illinois. You all like to come up to the
It's so funny. Yeah, we go up to the Dells and you guys come to Illinois. What do you do in Illinois?
Everything. We mostly eat.
Oh, okay.
We were just there today. We went to the auto show
today in Chicago.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Well, that's so nice.
Yeah. Well, that's his industry. So anything cars, that's what we're doing. So
oh, very cool.
We try to make sure that it was like been on our bucket list, and it's so different from the one that they have here. So we just finally were able to make it down. I was like, oh my goodness. So it was fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's a big deal here.
They really go all out.
Yeah, we found ways to travel with the children when they were younger, but we did a lot of road trips. Road trips seem to cut down the cost. So, which we found we would take a week at a time, and we found different destinations that we can literally stop at and let the kids sightsee and tour. That made it a lot beneficial, especially with our son that has autism as well. It gave him a chance to experience different things. He loves to take photos. And so as he's gotten older now, we've been able to put him on a plane. But beforehand, there was no plane that we could place him on. So driving was a great experience, and I feel like it actually gave all the children the time to express themselves, but also stretch out when they got frustrated as well.
Right.
One of the big trips that we took as a family, we drove from Wisconsin to Myrtle Beach.
Oh wow, that's
and we have some stories along the way, but it definitely was a good trip, and we've done Tennessee, Alabama, Georgia with the entire family. But
wow.
And that's one of the things is that they remember all of the experiences. We used to do it around the holiday time, towards the Christmas holiday. We stopped doing so many gifts because they would compete with gifts, and we started doing trips.
That's a fantastic idea, because the gifts are Christmas is very competitive.
It really is. And we just let the grandparents have it, because I'm like, you know what, we can't do it. It's just I mean, he's a big gift giver in general, just give the kids their own PlayStation, and I'm like, what are you doing? And I'm like, that's still going to cause an issue, because it's like, what version is that? What's this? Well, I got this game, you don't have that game. And so we kind of cut all of that out and just left it to the outside, left it to the grandparents, left it to their parents, and just, this is how we do things in our home. And then you get what you get over there, and nobody can be mad at that, because that's what your mom gave you, or that's what your dad gave you, or your grandparents, and you bring it home or you don't, and go from there.
The trips also cut out the co-parenting aspect. That was kind of a tidbit that we found for ourselves, is we took them to have a great experience, but on the other side, it was never what the other parent gave them in the other household.
Right.
Yeah.
Questions? Go ahead.
Okay. So my biggest thing always, and I love that you guys had a lot of those premarital conversations, and just really kind of making sure that your households were set for this, adjustment. Of course, we can't prepare for everything. We know that. But one thing I do like to do is just leave a nugget for other families who are watching this, and they say, okay, but tell me something I should know that, you wish you would have known when you first started, and how can that help me, either going into a blended family, or maybe they can even take that now and apply it to where they're at, and to hopes to improve their blended family.
I like Ray go first. He always has nuggets of wisdom that
he does. He's just sitting back, chilling, but I see it.
I would say, I think your biggest, the biggest thing, because, you're obviously outnumbered. You're always gonna have to, you're always gonna be kind of got to be quick on your feet. Having alignment, making sure that you still have time for each other, and that you're a very open, honest dialogue where there are no thoughts or feelings that are off the table. Anything goes.
Okay.
Because you just can't really assume, that you're both going to be thinking the same thing, being aligned. And, that's just kind of like, taking that time to still be connected. So you're not like, completely divided. I'm out taking one approach, he's taking another approach.
Yeah.
What I mean? Like the classic, mom said no, so I'll go talk to dad. Right? Right? So, especially if it's like something that's like, oh, you usually don't ask me for something like this.
Right.
Already talked to your mom. What did your mom say? Right. But also, if you are not an efficient person, sit down and make a game plan. It's a very, you can't not have a system. At least we found that we couldn't at least not, you had to have a system. You had to have it's a chessboard, right? I'm thinking about Monday and Tuesday on Sunday and Saturday, right? So I'm already kind of 3 steps ahead. We both have demanding jobs. The kids have a million things going on at any given time. So, and yeah, I mean, that's just keep, communication, that's where it's at.
Yeah, I would add something a little bit different, and that's and I agree with that 100%. And yeah, I appreciate we do have really good communication, and I think that keeps our house going very smoothly. I think if you do, if you're new to this, to being a blended family, or you're stepping into a bonus parent or step parent role, just keep your chin up. Every day is different. You're not alone, I think, is something I want to leave people with. I've learned that over the years too, with the friends I've made, and I have had similar challenges. I know I'm not alone in how I feel, and there's support out there and books and resources to do better and to get better and to learn more, and those relationships will come over time. They will develop on their own time,
Absolutely. I love that. Cheryl, I want to give you a minute to plug your business, because I think everybody needs to know what you do.
Sure. Thank you very much for that. So I own and run Glitters and Grace, signature mobile parties and perfume bar. And so we host and hold parties for any types of events: birthdays, weddings, bridal showers, anniversaries, ladies' nights. And we do perfume bars, a mini perfume bar, a signature perfume bar. So if you love scent or fragrance, we can bring a full bar to your home or venue. We also do kids events. So we do kids parties. We do a do-it-yourself skincare, a do-it-yourself perfume bar, do-it-yourself lip bar, and a bath bar too. So, and a candy bar. I think we do everything now. So yeah, a lot of kids entertainment, adult entertainment. So if anyone's looking for that, please reach out. And
where can they find you?
You can find me at glittersandgrace.com. Or you can also Google me as Cheryl Gleason of Glitters and Grace. I do have bios out there. You can find me out there, and please feel free to reach out. We'd love to talk talk with you.
Absolutely. Well, we want to thank you guys for coming on and sharing your story. I think that even with us, we've just taken in some nuggets that we're gonna just be able to apply ourselves. And I hope that everyone that is watching this and will watch this will be able to do the same. If you want to connect more with Blended Love, you can reach us at www.blend3dlove.com. The 3 is in there because someone already had our URL. So, but that's okay because we love the 3. We say that it stands for the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. So keep those 3 in your families and your lives, and you will always win. So thank you guys so much for joining us and for this session of Blended Love Family Conversations, and we'll see you again in March.
Been an absolute pleasure. Thank you all, and we look forward to seeing you again.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you so much.
Bye.